kind of transitioning off of Lamar Jackson. I know Ravens fans, that's all we hear 24/7 from the national media is Lamar Jackson. A position that, I think is very valuable to the Ravens organization is running back. And it looks like we're keeping Gus Edwards because of the restructure of the contract rather than cutting him. But we only got two guys right now. We got JK, we have Gus. How do you guys feel we should attack the running back position? Is it signing, some veteran, guy? Is it re-signing someone? Or is it going after someone in the draft? Or do the Ravens raven and go after an undrafted running back?
I would say undrafted guy, possibly a veteran, or really even bring back Justice Hill. I know a lot of the fans are divided when it comes to Justice Hill. But I think he would be a good candidate to return. He's a good special teamer. He can fill in for you as a backup running back, and he obviously wouldn't be called upon to be the guy at running back, but you can call him. You can call him when needed. So that would be probably my number one option right there. Would be Justice Hill, and if not him, then I would say go the undrafted route or a free agent. Ravens have 5 draft picks for now. I think that'll definitely change whether they trade somebody for a draft pick or whatnot. But there's I can't see Eric DaCosta, who loves draft picks. Sometimes even loves draft picks a little too much. I can't see him going into the draft with just 5 picks. But we'll see what goes down with that. But I wouldn't see them using one of those picks on a running back, even though both Gus and JK are both in the last years of their deal. I still couldn't see them using one of those 5 draft picks on a running back unless it was one of the later ones.
Yeah, I definitely understand. Let me see. Y'all know I love my running backs, y'all. All right, I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real. If the Ravens find a way to trade off Devin Duvernay, I'm bringing back in Justice Hill. Just for the simple fact that Justice Hill started learning how to run north and south. Also, Justice Hill looked pretty good on special. He's a pretty good special teams guy as well. I will be looking to bring back Kenyon Drake as well because Kenyon Drake, he's one of those guys like Devontae Freeman. As the year progressed, he started getting better. Now in next year's draft, when it's time for Gus to leave, I see them reworking a deal with J.K. Dobbins. I'm going after your guy, McConnell. Give me Junior, EJ. Give me Emmitt Smith Jr. because either him or Blake is going to be entering next year's draft portal. So I want either Blake Corum, he's a DMV guy, or either I want Emmitt Smith Jr. And I feel like he'll do good in the Baltimore Ravens system once we see what Todd Monken implicates.
Yeah, and he's a DMV guy. He's also a Michigan guy. So that's. That makes extra incentivization. For me, I like the idea of Kenyon Drake. I hadn't thought about Kenyon Drake potentially coming back, but that's a good one that could happen. I think Justice Hill could happen. The Ravens are notorious for 4 running backs on the roster, but Justice Hill for special teams, I wouldn't be surprised, even if they want to do him special teams for also returner. We drafted a running back last year, kind of shockingly. I like Tyler Beatty in the draft, but I wasn't expecting us to take Tyler Beatty. Yeah. But this is probably the deepest running back draft class I've ever seen. The top end is very good with Bijan Robinson. Let's not draft Bijan. I love him. I think he's great. Let's not do it. But if in the 5th round, someone that the Ravens really like is available, or a guy had a really bad combine and Kenny McIntosh, University of Georgia pass catching running back, Todd Monken's guy, maybe he slides to undrafted. Or, I feel like the Ravens have just been so good at bringing in the undrafted guys. Even look at Gus Edwards right now, undrafted. So the draft capital is so tough right now with, all the media, and even Eric DaCosta now in press conferences saying we need to address wide receiver. We just traded our, one of our starters at the safety position in Chuck Clark. We just lost our left guard officially. There's some positions we got to fill. We don't know what's happening at corner. So, running back 3, I feel as much as I love some of the guys like Dwayne McBride in this draft, Tajay Spears, Kenny McIntosh, Muhammad Ibrahim, It's like 35 guys in this draft class. Not all of them are going to get drafted because not every team needs a running back. And, you can find those diamonds in the rough. Ravens can't do it at wide receiver. They can't really do it at other positions, but running back is the position where I'm like, all right, we signed someone, we're good. Like this guy's going to be a beast. And I'm very happy with them no matter what happens because for some reason it works out. I don't know if that's the coaching. The Ravens just hired a new running back coach in Willie Taggart, who's done decent with running backs, going back to University of Oregon. I hated him at University of Oregon because they were really good at running the football. But now it's like, our running back's probably not going to be running the ball a whole lot. It's going to be playing special teams and, hopefully they never have to see the field because nobody gets injured. But if they do, the Ravens do have a tendency to go after these old guys. Maybe Todd Gurley finally gets that run around that we've been waiting for. Like, does that frustrate you guys? Like, just the constant, like, not just the running back position, but every position the Ravens are like, we'll just bring in a vet. And they'll be like a really old vet that hasn't produced in a while, like a wide receiver or running back or even edge rusher.
Yeah, I mean, especially at wide receiver, it's just been one of those things where I think they go for the cheap production. But I think one of the things why the Ravens have been doing that for so long is because they've been in win now mode. And when you're in win now mode, then you may feel like, you know what, we don't have time to go through all the development of a young wide receiver and all that. Let's just go with a guy who we know he's been here, done that. And a lot of other times they do pretty good at a lot of other positions, especially on defense, obviously. So I feel like with wide receiver, they're like, oh, you know what, let's just put something together there that might work. Hopefully it works. We don't feel like paying that much money for it. And we just hope we can get some good production for cheap.
Yeah, man. It really depends on the player for me. I mean, when we had Joe Flacco, we end up getting some decent guys, that were at the end of their career, but you still got high production out of them. Anquan Bolden. I don't want to say Jacoby Jones was like at the end, but he was nearing it. Derek Mason, still Steve Smith. Even Mike Wallace showed some flashes here and there. Now, when they brought in Jeremy Maclin, that's when they started going downhill. Lee Evans, that's when Lee Evans, there. TJ Hushman-Shada, come on, man. So, we definitely did hit and miss. And, that's something they, which surprisingly to me, it really upset me a lot. They never did it for Lamar Jackson, was get, him a wide receiver on the, older age, but still in a high production type of level. But that's another conversation for another day. Defensive wise, surprisingly, I'm not mad at that for the simple fact that we've all, like Ingraven said, we've always found production out of the defensive guys. Look at the way JPP came alive and helped out Justin Houston. Who had to take a breather because I don't care what nobody said. When he started getting them sacks twice a game and stuff like that, they start making him take drug tests after them games. He had to chill out. he had to chill out. So he didn't come alive, as much as he did in the beginning. But when JPP came along, he definitely did help a lot. We see Calais Campbell, who's been a force in that middle. He's been helping us out a lot as well. So I mean, when you get those defensive guys, you really it's really helped us. It's really helped us out now. When you see the Daryl Worleys, it kind of hurt us, because you can't move those guys to safety like how we did with LaDarius Webb or Corey Graham. That helped us out. Back on the back end of the secondary. So it just really depends on the position and the player, honestly. Because even Morgan Moses, who an older guy, he got Lamar hurt. I'm gonna be real. He got Lamar hurt. I forgot who the outside linebacker was, but from Denver. But he gave Cooper. Can't forget his name. When somebody on the football field give you nightmares, you can't forget their name. And Cooper gave that right side a run for their money all that game. So I mean, it just depends on the movement and the player, honestly.
I think the Ravens every offseason go watch Moneyball, and they just like watch the Oakland A's be like, oh man, if we get this guy at $1 million and add this guy at 1.5 million, we're going to be able to put the production of this other guy and replace I can't remember who they're trying to place, Tommy or whatever they were trying to get the production of. And it's like, yeah, but that's baseball. And the Ravens go into it and they're like, well, if we sign Deshaun Jackson and Sammy Watkins and Demarcus Robinson, you add those numbers they'll put up. Yeah, that's kind of wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 numbers, and we're able to do that for cheaper. It's like, yeah, baseball is very different analytically that way, but the Ravens try and play it like that where they go, oh man, well, we can get 200 yards out of here, 300 out of here. And I feel like they do that with their draft picks too, when they're like, because you look at the recent moves they've made, it's like Willie Snead, and it's like, okay, like 300 yards, he's maybe going to bring 400 yards. You draft Prochet, you draft Duvernay, and it feels like they don't even attempt to turn them into wide receiver, 1 or 2s. They instead are like, let's do it by group. Everyone's going to work together and the wide receiver core is going to be great. When instead they should just be focusing in like, hey, let's turn you into Justin Jefferson. Let's try and like develop you and feed you the football and try and get you to that next level. But instead it's like, oh, who works for this play? Well, it's like, no, just put your best player out there and get him better at everything, not specialize in one specific thing. Like they did Miles Boykin in blocking. They were like, all right, we're not gonna use you for anything other than running the designed rollout to the right. You're going to run the crosser, or you're going to block. Like that's Miles Boykin's role. Like, I feel like it's frustrating.
Yeah, you're spot on about that. That receiver by committee almost. And I feel like sometimes that can be Ravens' downfall, the whole by committee thing, because it doesn't allow like a guy to it makes it harder for guys to get hot and stay hot. With the running back position. Oh man, that was tough. That was really tough, especially last year. Like, how are you a running? Like, I never heard anything like this before. How are you a running team? But your running back is frustrated with your offense. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. It was the craziest thing. And I was glad that JK called it out with it in the playoffs and whatnot. But like they do too much trying to keep everybody happy. And like with JK, they would give him a couple carries. He'd be looking good, then he'd be like, all right, Gus, it's your turn. You get a couple carries now. And they will like spread the wealth when it really wasn't necessary. So one of the things, speaking about the running back position, one of the things I'm really hoping for this season is that they let JK be the guy. Yeah. They're bringing Gus back, obviously, but okay, obviously it seems like they favor JK more than Gus. All right, well, show that then. Show that favoritism. Let JK be your true number one back, and let Gus be the backup. Because it would just work out so much better. And it's like we saw once JK came back after he had that cleanup surgery, we saw it, and he wasn't even 100 yet. And we saw it, and it was like, but they just kept putting him in, but then taking him away, putting him in, taking him off the field, putting him in, taking him off the field. So that just messed up the consistency. So hopefully moving forward, we can have that true RB1, especially with it being contract year.
It's funny that you bring it up because there are still teams that still, that's run heavy. They still had their feature backs go for 1,000 yards during the season. And the second running back, he go about 500-600, still do good. So, man, it's going to be
Nick
interesting.
Chubb gets his carries, and they got Kareem Hunt. Like, it's still committee, but like they give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, Miles Sanders is leaving the Eagles, but he had 1,000. So I mean, hey, it's so many ways you can look at it, man. And honestly, we talked about this so many times, McCartan, on previous episodes, where if you see certain personnel being put in the games, if you're a defensive coordinator, I'll be watching that a lot, and I'll be, hey, they got this group of guys, this running back. Oh, and they got the special tight end, Patrick Ricard. I know exactly what they're doing. Let's take care of that though. What is that? And what did 9 times out of 10 the opposing defenses do? They took care of it. They got us out on the field. But even though we are talking about the running back position, I do want to bring up my tight ends. I do hope this year that we do see double tight ends, and I hope to see my boy Isaiah Likely, aka the Gorilla, get enough fluency with Mark Andrews on the field together, because with him and Mark on the field together, that's going to open up a lot of room and a lot of real estate for the both of them. If we get some routes where they don't cross into each other, of course, or in the same vicinity of each other, But I mean, you just like how we brought up, with J.K. and Gus, it took for Mark to sometimes be missing out the game for Isaiah to start going crazy. When me personally, they're not going to get another wide receiver. Put him on the outside. Have Mark still line up at the tight end. Let them both work out on the field together. Feed them accordingly. But it's a lot of things us Ravens fans want to see. We just gotta see if they get put into place.
Yeah, for sure. That I was thinking it right when you said it about Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. It was kind of sad, and it was sad seeing it because, like you mentioned, when Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, I remember after the preseason, all of us was hyped about Isaiah Likely, like, oh man, this dude, he may not go crazy, but he's gonna have his moments. He's gonna make some stuff happen. And then we were imagining, like, all right, Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely both on the field together. Mark Andrews already been eating, and he ain't had no Isaiah Likely. But you add Isaiah Likely to the mix, oh, that can make everything so much better. But it seemed like they just did not know what to do when they had both of them available. If they had one available and the other was out, then that one would do his thing. That one would go off. But if they had both, it was like they'd be lost. Like, oh man, this is too many weapons. This is too much positivity. We can't do it. So it would be the craziest thing. So hopefully, Monken, like he got a lot to prove to me, man. I'm just really hoping that he can he talked a good game in the presses and all that. Hey, he talked a good game. Everything sounded great. But I really hope that he can deliver on all of those promises and really utilize whatever guys we end up retaining, getting, and having at both wide receiver and tight end and running back too. Really everything. Because I feel like the running backs were misused, like we just talked about a little bit ago too.
Yeah, and it bringing up we never got to see them play, right? It felt like every time it was either Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely is in, and then Josh Oliver was next to him. Like the two tight end set did not include both pass catching tight ends.